Update. Blustery 20 minus 20 out there. I think it was like minus 30 the last two nights. I'm hoping you guys are liking the new things that I'm doing with the channel, with the new kind of mystery stuff and all that. Pick up my hat. All right. Yeah, so I hope you guys are liking that. But yeah, I still got the World War III stuff. I got quite a bit of paper here for you to go through. So, where am I going to start? Okay, well, I guess I'll just start on this page. That what Alex Rose does all the time. There was paper there. I don't have a desk. I don't have the budget he has. I don't have a desk. I just got a comfy chair and a hat. All right. So, is the world becoming safer or more dangerous? I don't know. Russia scaling down its operations in Syria. So far, the total of missions, or was it missions? Yeah, 1,252 targets destroyed in. ISIS targets destroyed. So I forget how many air sorties. It was like 400 or 500 air sorties, something like that. South Front had it all on there. But we saw this play a few times before, and every time we hear, "Oh, they're leaving Syria, they're leaving Syria," and then 2 weeks later, a whole new batch of airplanes come in, and they didn't leave. I think they just go on rotation. So it's like, okay, well, you can fly, we got 1,000 hours of flying time on the Su-24, Su-34. It's in need of some repairs. Send it back to Mother Russia. Give it a a hook and a smile or whatever, and fix it up. Send in the next one. That's typical rotating military equipment. That's things wear out, things break, and some things like there's regular routine maintenance, and then there's just downright it needs a repair. The tank's got a hole blown in the side of it. Okay, it still runs, but let's go. Okay, it's bringing the new one, and that type of thing. So that's what I think we're seeing there. I think that this war is still going to go on for years. It's just the major battles I think are done. That they have Aleppo now, so I guess what we most likely see is again I've already covered it. Don't be afraid to look at some of my older World War III updates. But I saw they're going to get I think 10 or 12,000 guys. They're retraining them, coming up with a new plan, and then they're going to do an offensive to clear the hilltops kind of thing on the outskirts of Idlib province. But they're not worried about them guys as much. They more wanted the cities back. And something I said, as Syria stabilizes the surrounding nations such as Israel and Turkey and Saudi Arabia and stuff, that will destabilize. And the Israeli freakout is already seems to be pretty much full. But that could be another plan too to get another way to go at Iran. So I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, right now Obama's done something weird. He's pulled all the aircraft carriers. I've already covered this before, but all the aircraft carriers are bringing back to the United States. So for maintenance stuff, they're not on rotation. It's just he brought them all back, which is weird. So right now there are no aircraft carriers in the Middle East. I don't know if that's a first or if that's, but it's definitely not normal considering. Is that a bad thing to a degree? Yes, because if something breaks out, the guys that are over there don't have that resource there to protect them. It's the same thing when Justin Trudeau pulled out the CF-18s out of, backing our guys on the ground. The problem with that, I'm kind of if you're going to fight a war, you're all in or you're not. So either, if you're going to take the CF-18s away, completely take the operation away. I mean, don't have those guys sitting there with no air support. The best air support they can have is from their own nation. Personally, I don't think we should be in there because, the way I'm looking at it is, why should our guys get shot by people who are, our government who's helped arm them? You know what I mean? That type of thing. I don't know how much contribution Canada made to arming ISIS, but I'm probably sure we probably did somewhere. I know in Ukraine and stuff like that we're there pretty openly arming the Ukrainians. Not so much lethal aid. I think most of the lethal aid just comes from the States and other nations because we don't really have a lot of weapons we can send them anyway. But there are some weapons, for example, that we have given to the Kurds, and I don't agree with that at all. Again, we're arming the people we have to fight in the future, and that's exactly what we're doing now. Again, if you're a U.S. soldier and you're in that area of the world and you have to fight these guys, they're going to be shooting at you with the ammo that was supplied by your government and the firearm that was supplied by your government. How long are you going to believe that, they just got these weapons by accident? No. In the tens of thousands? No. Again, ISIS is either the luckiest terrorist organization in history or they're back. And with the slips from Obama, the slips from John McCain, John Kerry, yeah, it's very, the State Department, yes, they know, they're what they do is they say we're arming moderate rebels, but we can't figure out who the rebels are. So they've armed ISIS. Whether it was negligence or on purpose, I do believe it was on purpose. Again, a guy flying a Globemaster, he's not going to be dropping in an accident. I mean, he's probably got 2,000 hours of flying time before he even trains on a Globemaster, those heavy lift aircraft. They're not going to make accidental drops. They're dropping where they're told to drop. So is the intelligence bad? Well, I don't think the intelligence is that bad. I think it's very deliberate. Same with the helicopters and stuff like that. At rooftop level, you're going to be able to make eye contact with the guys you're dropping your stuff to. You know what I mean? Even if they're 500 feet up, you're going to know it's your guys. So these airdrops aren't accidental, that type of thing. So anyway, we've been over that quite a bit. Yeah, the Fort Lauderdale shooting. A lot of people yelling false flag. There was reports of multiple shooters. This guy, I guess, is a Cuban national from the military, and apparently he's had some psychiatric problems. People saying Manchurian candidate, whatever. But whether it's real or not doesn't matter. What is the result? Well, we do know that just before Christmas, Christmas and New Year's Eve, again, Obama was out there putting executive orders and disgusting ones, and one of them is to really get the United Nations Small Arms Trade Treaty deal through. It probably will never pass, but again, trying to make a case for it, a last-ditch attempt. On this one, I'm inclined to believe that it is a false flag. I'm not saying they're all false flags and nobody dies and it's all crisis actors. I don't say that. I do believe people die. You never know. I mean, this guy was making some claims that the CIA was trying to get to him and stuff. Now, mind you, if the guy's a little bit unstable, it wouldn't take much for the CIA to push the guy over the top and hijack his computer and just show him propaganda and he hears voices or whatever. They do have the technology to freak people out that are already unstable. So is that a possibility? Well, of course. And giving the climate, again, can I prove any of it? No. But giving the climate and the desperation we see from Obama, Missy, what are you doing on the couch? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't pull your tail. Yeah, scratch your tail. See how you like it, eh? When the couch is scratched back. There you go. Hey, come up. If you're going to interrupt the video, you might as well come up and show everybody. Anyway, my cat, Missy. As I was saying, Obama, they're still trying to steal the election from Trump. It's unbelievable. It's like you have Obama produce, well, we don't think the counts were legitimate, and just all kinds of stuff. You can't even follow it all. It's just you lost. But so why are they so desperate? Well, think about the amount of people that might go to jail. Again, if nobody goes to jail, then we know Obama or Trump was a puppet. And then if that's the case, then the direct plan, I think, is let Israel destabilize. The United States will have to send in soldiers and troops and whatever, and they'll make the connection to Iran. They'll get into war with Iran that way. That could be the setup. Israel wants. They never give up. They never, even if their plans fail, they never give up. They keep. These cartels never stop, right? So anyway, that's my take on it. But yeah, we see Israel in the freak out now. But the thing is technically you could say Israel is causing it itself. I mean, it's starting to bulldoze people's houses. Then there was oh my God, people attacked us back. They've been brutalizing people in the West Bank, so of course they're going to fight back at some point. I can see both sides of it. I don't take either side. I'm not pro-Palestinian or pro-Israeli. Yes, Israel has the right to defend itself if somebody attacks, but if it keeps provoking the attacks, that's again. And this is coming from a country that attacked the USS Liberty. Remember, to try to get the United States to come into war, so they attacked the U.S. warship. So you can't trust the Israeli government. And I know there's again, the Zionists and stuff like that. Some people say, well, Zionism, you don't understand Zionism. Well, there's different facets of Zionism, too. I understand it well enough. And the Greater Israel Project, the Clerically Plan, and the Samson option. If you look at those three things, then you're going to understand how Israel thinks to a great degree. Now, do they put these things on record as official? No. But the plans are pretty open. That type of thing. So, yeah, what's going to happen in Israel, I think they're going to just get their asses kicked. So I think what they're going to probably try to do is find a way to go to war with Lebanon to get, Israel saying, oh, well, Hezbollah's in Lebanon, so they'll have to go through there while they're fighting the Palestinians. Oh, well, Assad is attacking, is supporting Hezbollah, which he is. You know, oh well, then it's the Assad government attacking Israel with a proxy war. So, and then of course of Iran. So then, okay, well, we have no choice, but we have to go in and actually have an excuse. ISIS couldn't get the job done, so the American farm boy is going to be sent to go and die at a rate of 35-1 for the Israelis. That's so it means if the Israelis are willing to kill American soldiers or let American soldiers die at a rate of 35-1, there's no limit to what they'll go. You know what I mean? So if you think it's the right thing to do, go ahead, but just know that you're being set up. You know, like you're being set up. It is what it is. I know some people can't see it, and I know there's a lot of, again, the Christian types that they can't separate biblical Israel from the political Israel, the government of Israel. So again, you can't really help those people. I mean, they just don't get it. If Israel says jump or we got to go to war, they'll just do it. So that's the way some of them think. The Judeo-Zionist Christian, not all of them are fooled, but there's a lot of them that are, and a lot of these guys are in the government. So that type of thing. But I was listening to Steve Pieczenik. Now, Steve Pieczenik made a couple of statements a little while back about Henry Kissinger, saying that, yeah, we worked with Kissinger to get this done. But then he seemed to have rolled on him a couple of days ago in an interview with Alex Jones, which I hope is the case. And he was saying that once Trump gets in, that's when you're going to see the draining of the swamp. That's why the FBI and the CIA are they're basically at war with Donald Trump right now. But they can't kill him, because if they kill him, it starts a civil war that day. The amount of world elites that would get shot on that day would be astronomical. Why? Because there would be they wouldn't make it to their bunkers. You know, just think of the armed guard that's walking along protecting one of these politicians. Oh, Trump just got assassinated. Bang, pulls out his pistol and takes out the guy. Because they know the people that work beside these people. They know what they do. They might not know everything, but they know. Their security, can they truly be trusted? Because if I was a true patriot, the closest place I would want to be to my enemy is their right-hand man. You know what I mean? That's what I would want to be. I'd want to be right beside them, so when I know the takedown's coming, I'm there to do it. You know, do whatever needs to be done. They attempted this with so many world leaders. It's not funny. You know, in that type of thing. And really, do the world elites think that the law enforcement, military are really going to be trustworthy enough for them to stake their lives on? I don't know. So that's why I don't think they're going to knock him off. Even if they can make it look like, well, he's 70 years old, he took a heart attack, whatever. Even if they did that, you know, it would be too convenient for that to happen. For that you would just see again. As the report goes on here, you're going to see what I mean. Attacks are already starting on the, politicians and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But Steve Pieczenik was saying some pretty interesting things about how Trump wants to restore rule of law, and that's what has to happen. That's what he was truly elected on, was to put the Clintons, the Bushes, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Soros, Brzezinski, Kissinger in jail. Now, there's a couple of theories on what Trump might be doing. Is saying, okay, step down gracefully, or we're going to steamroll over the top of you. Now, of course, because they are who they are, they're psychopaths. They're not going to quit, right? So, and one of the things Steve Pieczenik was also saying, which I'm lukewarm on Steve Pieczenik. He seems like he's a good guy, but I haven't really seen him totally give the signal that I wanted, but he did hint at something. He talked about the Zionists in Israel and how bad, and these Zionists and these Jews that are all over the place. Remember, he's half Jew himself. So, what I'm looking at, it's what I see with, like, say, Ezra Levant with the Sun News or Rebel Media, where bring up 99% of the problem, but don't talk about that 1% of who implements the policies, right? The Steens and Steins and Bergs. And again, I'm not against all Jews. I know if it's taken that way, I don't know what to tell you. It's the same problem the Muslims have. Not all Muslims are terrorists, but there's a large minority of Muslims that are terrorists, right? Well, not all Jews are the Zionist neocon types that want war and death and destruction and Bolshevism 2.0, but there's a large minority of them, and they're in power. That's the people I'm after. There's not a Jew under my remote control trying to get me. There's not a Jew in my sock trying to get me. My cat is not a crypto Jew. You know what I mean? Like, that type of thing. So I'm not taking it from that argument. So if it comes off that way, I apologize. My goal is to get the corrupt bastards at the top, restore rule of law. But every time we see a bad policy come in and there's a Steen, Stein, or a Berg, metaphorically speaking, spearheading it, that's what it creates. Reactionary Jew, I don't know if you've seen the Red Ice interview with him. I enjoyed that interview a lot. I think that was the most thumbs down I've ever seen on a Red Ice video because, I mean, there are white supremacists and stuff like that and anti-Semites that are there that follow that crowd too. There's no denying that. But it was nice to hear it from a Jew. Yeah, well, this is the... But I like how he divided it up. And this is something I've said too, like, Israeli politics are very, very complicated. There's so many factions within one faction of a faction, you know what I mean? That type of thing. So that's what makes it so confusing. Which Jews are you talking about? And that type of thing. So when we're talking about the ones that are, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, George Soros, Henry Kissinger, Zbigniew Brzezinski, these guys, these are the names I put at the top, but there's thousands of them that run these agendas. Now, some of these agendas are just degeneracy, like the probably 1,000 plus, prominent feminists, all throughout the world that basically promote this third wave feminism stuff. They're not really criminal per se. They're not running the banks. They're just ideologues that are out of control. So them, you don't really have, we'll just take away the program, that type of thing. That's how you get rid of them. But the ones that actually, the bankers, the banksters, that's who we really want to take down. The Goldman Sachs, the J.P. Morgans, the Freddie Mac, that type of thing, the Federal Reserve, et cetera, and it goes on. The ones at Deutsche Bank, list goes on, ECB, all these people at the top, your Jamie Dimon types, and you want to get all those guys, round them up, put them in jail, one charge, crimes against humanity, because millions of people have died because of the 2008 collapse, and since then, because of the bad policies these people put in on purpose in broad daylight. They must be held accountable. That's why, keep it simple, one charge, crimes against humanity. First pass a law that, I would like to see 10 degrees of basically treason. So first degree treason is an automatic death penalty. Carried out in, for example, let's say we charge George Soros in the United States, or wherever we charge him, but we allow Eastern Ukraine to decide the punishment. And if their punishment exceeds our punishment, we give it to them. We'll use George Bush, Jr. and Sr., and allow them to be tried in Iraq. Allow Barry Soetoro or Obama to be tried in Libya. Same with Hillary Clinton. Try them in Libya. Henry Kissinger, try him in Vietnam. Let them decide the final punishment. They can't let him go, but let them decide how he dies. It's okay. It's going to be a death penalty, but you get to decide. So if they want to stone him, they can stone him. If they want to pull him apart with horses, whatever. Why? Because then it signals to the world, at least we believe in justice. Is it barbaric? Yeah, but it's justice. Now, why do I say 10 degrees of treason? Let's say somebody who's done something to be treasonous against the country. Okay, second degree, okay, there's no death penalty. Third degree, okay, but maybe there's 25 years, or 50 years, or 75-year prison sentence. Third degree, okay, 25 years or 15 years. Fourth degree, say 10 years. Fifth degree, okay, 5 years or less. Sixth degree, massive fines. Seventh degree, community service and fines. That type of thing. Just work it right down to 10th degree acknowledgement, but no punishment. That type of thing. Rather than have 3 degrees, you have 10 degrees. And I think we should do this with murder, pretty much everything, so that you give more choice of variability to the judge, but then you have mandatory minimums of whatever that degree is. I think that's the best way to do it. My take, anyway. But the thing is, start with the top, work your way down, because these are the people that are screwing up the world. CNN, the last least trusted by 75%. I don't know where that poll came. I got it from the Next News Network, but now, mind you, I'm sure there's some bias in there, but it's probably pretty accurate. Really, actually, I'm surprised they got 25% of people to actually trust them. I can imagine it would be older people that don't go on the internet at all and get their news there. Debt to grow by... Okay, Obama's great recovery. The U.S. debt is to grow by 5,000%. Yeah. And the U.S. dollar has been devalued 97% since 1913, when the federal banks came into play, Rothschild banking system. Yeah, that explains the prices of everything. So, again, when people say, well, we need $15 an hour minimum wage, it's not a wage problem, it's a currency problem. Your money just can't buy what it used to. Right now, Justin Trudeau, if you voted for Trudeau, Canada now has the most debt to GDP in the G7. Second, Australia. Didn't both of these countries do a regime change? Again, Harper could count. As bad as he was, at least he could count. Oh well. On New Year's Eve in Austria, basically 18 to 20 women were attacked by refugees in Innsbruck, Austria. There's probably more than that. In Cologne, Germany, what they did is they basically corralled all the refugees to one side so they couldn't interact with the population the way I heard it. Maybe not completely corralled them, but they kept them away. I can imagine Merkel make sure not one incident, this is backfiring on me enough already, make sure not one incident happens. So they probably had like an astronomical amount of police. And plus, how many women would have went to New Year's Eve in Cologne? I don't know. But anyway. So 1,000 soldiers to each Baltic state that the United States is got Lithuania, Estonia, and Romania, and stuff like that. So I think it's now been up to 1,200. I'm sure I put I might be missing a page here. Hope not. Anyway, if not, I'll get it on the next. South Korea to put in a decapitation unit for North Korea. They've been talking about this for a while now. What it is it's a team to go in and take out Kim Jong-un and his generals, etc., to stop the immediate launches of missiles, etc., etc. So they call it a decapitation unit. So we're working on that. E-2D, early warning aircraft. These are one of the little radar dome they take off an aircraft carrier. They're an old aircraft. These are like Vietnam era aircraft, but they still work there. I think they're a turboprop. Twin engine turboprop. They got a huge radar dome on them, like an AWAC, but they can take off aircraft carriers and stuff like that. And there's going to be 225. The 225 squadron is going to Japan. So they're moving those things. This is, I guess, more for the surveillance in the South China Sea to keep, keep on top of that. The Chinese just did another Air Force drill in the South China Sea. You can see some of their Q5s and stuff like that, Q5 Fountains, stuff like that flying around. Those things, they're old, but they are maneuverable. They're also talking about a replacement bomber for their H-6 bomber. They want to build a stealth bomber. And the Chinese have been basically, with their Air Force stuff and whatever, and their Navy aircraft carrier, which they've now got on patrol, they basically are updating everything. Now, the J-20 that they've got out there, they've got a J-15, a J-20. They got a couple of airplanes, and then they got the J-10, which is the Su-27 knockoff, which I love telling the story how the Chinese borrowed a couple from the Russians to see if the Russians were like, oh yeah, well here, borrow our aircraft, see if you like them, and if you like them, maybe you can buy some from us. They took it apart, reverse engineered it, and built their own. The Chinese, they pissed off the Russians, so they basically started producing Su-27s and Su-30s, I guess, now. And basically stole the design from the Russians, and the Russians were pissed about it. You're supposed to buy aircraft, not reverse engineer. But that's what the Chinese do. They steal everything. You got to hand it to the Chinese on that. They're good at stealing technology and reverse engineering it. They're good at that. But their J-20 is going to be probably closer to that of like an Su-27 kind of capability airplane. It is stealthy. It's kind of a delta wing with a forward canard. It will be a longer ranged aircraft, so I can't imagine, just from the little bit of footage I've seen, it doesn't look like it's all that maneuverable, but being stealth, so it's more, being bigger, it's probably going to carry a lot of weapons, more of an escort type of airplane rather than a tight, windy, turny dogfighting airplane, and more of a, think of it like kind of like the role of the MiG-31, but in stealth form. I don't know how fast this machine is, I don't know what the exact ranges are on it yet. Not a lot of information will be coming out on this airplane anytime soon, but they are moving towards that. How stealthy is it actually? I don't know, but the design is fairly stealthy, so these airplanes, if it's like the F-22, like the F-22 was reported in the 90s to have a radar signature the size of a bumblebee, but it seems like now radar, they can detect an F-22 like that. Like the software outpaces the hardware much quicker. So the new proposal for the H-10 bomber, I don't know when that's coming out, but that is what the Chinese are moving towards. And of course, we know they're going to be building those AN-225 Antovs, heavy lift. So the Chinese are really ramping up like big things. They're not building little things, they're building big things. And the other thing they want to build is that ways to move their amphibious assault vehicles with hovercraft, the largest hovercrafts in the world. So they're going to be building those. Now remember, how can they afford it? Well, it's simple. They have a lot of U.S. debt. So I think they're done probably building these mega cities that nobody lives in. So the best thing they can do with the U.S. debt is just turn it into military assets at this point. Build aircraft carriers. They're talking about a second aircraft carrier. Iran is talking about an aircraft carrier as well. We'll have to see what they have, We'll see what they do. But anyway, the CIA versus Trump. Well, this is a big one. I mean, the CIA is telling Trump, we can come after you. We can do this. We can do that to you. You watch your step, kind of thing. And you can clearly see that they're going to try to set Trump up for something. I think what they're really, the main thing is to set him up for an economic collapse. But this can go one of two ways. Yes, the people will revolt in an economic collapse but I don't know how much, because think of all the people that, okay, right now a guy like me nobody pays attention to. But in hard times, if I tell you, okay, this is why you're in hard times, is because this person here put in a policy to rob you of your wealth. We see it in some states like in Texas and stuff like that, where they're taking police officer pensions and cutting the pensions and stuff like that. You see it in California, that type of thing. So at some point people are saying, well, okay, this has happened long before Trump even got into office. So I don't know. I really don't think it's going to work out very well for them, because when people know who's done it and why, like at this point, like there's just way too many people that know who's doing what. And those are the people that they have to fear, not the masses that are just going to go out and riot, whatever. Those people, because they're easy to control. Okay, just send out some riot cops, beat them in the head, throw them in the can for the night. Okay, fine. But it's the people that, you stole my money. You know what I mean? And you wrecked my livelihood. You stole my job. You stole my retirement. They already know the names. There's lists. I'm sure there's lists. They're going to start knocking these people off. I think, again, we're 9 days in to 2017. And look at the bizarreness we've seen already. Wow. But I think the CIA will lose against Trump, because you have to understand that the CIA is being, there's a war within the CIA. This has been going on for a long time. I remember back in 2010. You want to go out, Missy? Sorry, got to pause for a cat. Back in 2010, when the White House, get out there, it's cold. When the White House, it's cold out there. It's cold. When the White House put out that memo saying that, we got things under control, there's fighting within the factions, but we have it under control, yada, yada, yada. I think that's still going on. And what makes the case for that is Julian Assange, with his statements of, hey, look at this. All the CIA, NSA, DHS agree, and he does too, that the Russians didn't leak these emails. They were leaked or hacked these emails. They were leaked from the inside, meaning these are your hellhounds leaking out what I refer to. Sorry, must pause for cat again. Told you it was cold outside. You listen. Come on, rip. I'll heat you outdoors. Move it. Cat's cold. I told you it was cold out there. He didn't believe me. Give me that dirty look. Why is it cold out? What she does, goes out one door, and it's cold, she'll come in, she'll go to the other door thinking that it's going to be warmer on that side. And then when it isn't, she comes in, she gives me a dirty look, like I had something to do with it. Yeah. Anyway. Cats, it's all about me. It's all about me. Anyway, but the thing is that, like hellhounds call them, spooks with a conscience, patriots, whatever. They're the other guys. And the thing is the first wave of them, these guys, we're never going to know their names. We're never going to, the only thing we can do is, like, for example, that guy that, I don't have his name here, the one that was working on the Clinton Foundation that ended up, he's still missing. There's only two possibilities for this guy, or three. A, he's a running man. B, he's dead. C, he's in custody until the trial. And the trials, I think, if Trump is the real deal, we'll see trials very soon after the 20th. I think that's why you're seeing such radicalness from the mainstream media and stuff. Like, the mainstream media is going away anyway. I think that gets it's following anyway. But the politicians and stuff that will probably go, if we start rounding these people up, basically the Iceland solution, there's obviously going to be a lot of people dying because dead men tell no tales. But on the other, kind of works to 2 degrees. The one is, they'll kill as soon as Trump is inaugurated. if he announces, okay, we're now going after the Clintons, she's a dead woman. She'll never make it to trial. The amount of people she can take down, and she would take down. That's the thing. Like, she's that much of a psycho. Because remember, Obama, Clinton, nothing is ever their fault. You know what I mean? It's always somebody else, right? So obviously, she would just roll on everybody. I have no doubt about that. So obviously, they would take her out. That's my guess. So again, if Clinton dies mysteriously in a couple of days from the making of this video, or I'm not making any threats, I'm just saying, it would be very convenient. But I think because they don't really know, and again, Trump is signaling towards it, but he hasn't said it 100%. And I think a lot of people that voted for Trump, and I hear the same thing over and over and over again. We don't know if he's a good guy. We're going to wait and see. Now, there's some people, he's just a puppet like the rest of them. He does surround himself with, like the amount of Goldman Sachs people. He is kind of in with the Israeli lobby to a degree. He's pro-Israel, but he does seem to be kind of neutral on that. But my take with Israel is that they put him in, if they did put him in power, is that he's a pro-Israel guy. So they'll find it, like I described earlier, they'll find a way to get Israel. Israel will be destabilized to the point where, oh my God, Hezbollah is attacking us left and right, and they're coming from Lebanon. So we go to war with Lebanon, and from Lebanon, okay, Lebanon's being supported by Syria and Iran, so we need boots on the ground. So the draft comes in, bang, there you go. Send all the American farm boys to go shoot at the Iranians and stuff like that, because we've got peace and stability and for democracy over there. So that's how they would rein it in. Hopefully the military isn't going to be duped that easy into it, but that's how they would do it. Because right now it seems like Israel is provoking the Palestinians to rise up. It's clear. You go and knock down. You want to build 316 units across the Green Line. Again, that's their side of the fence. Where's your justification for that? You know what I mean? The other aspect is that if they're not going to go that way with it, they could be using it to get. Donald Trump has signaled of getting out of the United Nations now, which I agree with, and I think Canada should be out of the. Right now, the United Nations under George Soros runs Canada. George Soros is the Prime Minister of Canada, unofficially speaking. That's what we're at. But again, Trump is he's still a wild card. We still don't know which way he's going to go. However, Rand Paul was out there, and once again talking about auditing the Fed. Trump agrees. Now, the other thing is that guys like Bill Holter, what he was saying is that Trump is basically, think about what Obama inherited. For the first 2 years, from 2008 to 2010, everybody gave Obama a pass because it's like, he inherited a $4 trillion deficit from douchebag Bush. So, even I looked at it and say, I wasn't that much into the politics quite a much then. It was in 2010 where I really started to get worried about Obama when he signed the NDAA and stuff like that, and the basically arresting, Section 1021 and 1022. But every executive order he's put out ever since then has just made worse and worse and worse and worse. And then it's like, he's had time to undo this stuff, and he doesn't. And he's made it worse and worse. So at first you say, maybe the guy's just incompetent. But if they were incompetent, they would get it right in your favor once in a while. But they never get it right in your favor. They always, so again, follow the money, you figure it out. So, it makes sense. This is what they're doing. He's, definitely a puppet. So I gave him a fair chance. Trudeau, same thing. I gave him a fair chance. Remember, we're now the highest debt to GDP in the G7. When going from only a year ago, the lowest debt to GDP in the G7. Which, was still a high debt, don't get me wrong. Like, Harper government did run up the debt quite a bit. I was fair on Harper, too. And I know some people get mad at me when I say, anything remotely kind of positive about Harper. But the thing about Harper was, at least he could count. And they did eventually balance the budget. Where Harper lost me. If Harper would have been a nationalist instead of a globalist, he would probably have been the best prime minister in our history, next to Sir John A. Macdonald. But that said, is what it is. I think what got Harper unelected, I got something like breaking teeth there, was the Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership. And Justin Trudeau's out there, he can't pass the thing fast enough. And even bragging about it, how fast they're trying to get the European, the TTIP or whatever it is, passed. Again, these trade deals kill Canadian sovereignty. They all do. Now, that said, when it comes to Trump and Canada, especially with the auto workers union and stuff like that, they are nervous. Now, Trump seems to be more focused on Mexico than Canada, but it's going to go both ways. Now, that said, here in Canada, we don't make anything of our own. We gave all our industries to the Americans after the death of the Avro-Aero program, you might as well say. That was the first fall of Canada. That was where Canada went from an independent country to, basically catering to U.S. big business. I'm not saying we shouldn't have U.S. businesses here at all. I mean, the culture is so similar. I know a lot of my fellow Canadians don't like it, but I look at Americans just as Southern Canadians. You know what I mean? They got a slightly different culture, but they're not so different from us. We speak the same language for the most part. We eat the same foods. Watch the same shows, whatever. But there is an encroachment of Americanism up in Canada. There's no doubt about that. That said, it's not always a bad thing. But what I would like, again, if we had a nationalist government in power here in Canada, okay, I'd say let Trump knock out, the automotive industry in Canada. Here's what we'll do: when they close Caterpillar, they close Chevrolet, they close Ford, they close whatever, because we can't compete. Okay. It's on them. But then what we can do, nationalize it. Bang. We buy these plants from them. We slightly redesign. Look, we built the Saturn. Remember the Saturn? I don't know if they still make it or not. It was an all-designed Canadian car, right? We built the Saturn. So, okay, fine. If we can build the Saturn, let's just build something in Canada, okay, and build it Canada first. Call it the Canuck car, whatever you want to call it. Canada hasn't built it, so the closest we came to building our own cars is two: the Avro car and the Saturn. So the Saturn, if we have engineers that can design the Saturn, which was a pretty good car, it was basically like a Ford Taurus, but a little bit different, And it was a good car. I mean, everybody I talked to that bought a Saturn, they're like, I love that thing. I don't know if they still make them or whatever they make now. But if they go out of business, okay, then we're no longer... Then we can have our own industry, Is it going to be, a lot of people going out of work? Yes. A lot of union jobs lost? Yes. But we could restart it non-unionized, hire 10 times the amount of people, build the vehicle within the country for half the price, because we don't have all these other things to deal with. And you can share the profit sharing with the employees. They'll make even more money than what they did under the old union. Again, it's just, you need somebody who understands that you remove the middleman. The union is what keeps the wages. In a country with good labor laws, you don't need unions. Government should not be unionized in Canada or any government anywhere in the world, really, in my opinion. But I'm not a fan of unions because every union that I worked for was always, I made less. I always made less. A handful of people make more, but almost all the union jobs that I've ever had are no longer around because, the only union jobs that can stay around for a long time is stuff that's propped up by the government. Everything else usually goes the way of the dodo. It's the unions that kill off their employees. A lot of people don't see it that way. But yeah, but they bargained for us to get this and this stuff the company couldn't afford. Again, rather than the union paying for your dental plan, for example, one of the companies I work for was excellent. They basically, okay, we have a dental plan. Okay, we got a deal for the thing. But if you want the dental plan, you pay for it. If you don't want the dental plan, you don't pay for it. That's an opt-in, opt-out. It was excellent, and you can do that with some unions. Some unions are actually probably not too bad, but like anything, most of them just get so greedy. It becomes about making the union bigger than the productivity bigger, right? But anyway, so Trump can hurt us that way in those type of things. But that is a great way. It's kind of like kicking your teenage son out of the house because he basically eats cheesies and plays video games all day. And he goes out. He doesn't want to go out at first. It's a horrible for him. But then he finds his job and he makes his own way in the world. He earns his own keep. Well, it'd be the same thing of what the states would be doing to Canada. So we're going to hurt at a time when we got Justin Trudeau. What the hell? Like I said, 3 years. We're 1 year in with Trudeau, and look where we're at. But this is important stuff to why we're going to war. It's the economies have failed everywhere is the case in point. But anyway, so. The Dow Jones just about hit 20,000. Now, a lot of people were predicting that when we hit 20,000, that's when they're going to let the economy go. Now, or around thereabouts. So, remember, when the Dow Jones, when you see the Dow Jones doing these record highs, it's because they're propped up by your retirement, your savings. Again, I'm not an economist, you go look at it. But anyway, it's rigged. That's why it's up high. These are Fortune 500 companies that could not stand on their own. They're bailed out by governments. They're the too big to fail. I say too complicated to work. But Yeah, Obama leaves office, the Dow's at 20,000, then they let it drop right after Trump gets in. But Trump's trump card on this is to name the bankers. That's all he's got to do is name names. It's kind of been what he's been doing anyway. So when everybody starts yelling at Trump for why is the economy going down, well, this is what the bankers have done. Here's the bankers who did it. Here's their names. Here's the policies they brought in. Here's what we're going to do against them. Rather than bail them out, we're going to let them fail. Again, Koch brothers declare bankruptcy in 2008, and they're still the wealthiest people on the planet. How's that possible? How is that possible? You know what I mean? Because they got taxpayer bailouts. So yeah, I think if they try to drop the economy on Trump, I think he'll just deregulate to the point where, okay, yeah, we'll take like a 6-month hit, an 8-month hit, and then all of a sudden, bang, runaway economy, it'll be like 20% GDP growth or something crazy like that. Why would there be no regulations to stop anybody? Everybody will have their own business. And that's, that'd be good. Rule 41 of the FBI, basically this is something that Obama brought in as an executive order on New Year's Eve. And basically it can confiscate all electronic devices, basically, computers, cell phones, those little iPad things, whatever. And yeah, that one's something to look at. The Chilean Navy, I don't know if you caught this thing, there was a Chilean helicopter, WW3 had it on his channel, it caught something on the air, it was like a round, double-balled round object type of thing, spraying something in it. Don't know what the hell it was. But anyway, interesting footage. ISIS did claim the attack of the 4 IDF soldiers that were killed in Jerusalem, and right now they're in the West Bank cracking heads of the family members of the ISIS, the truck driver. Now, something to note, that in this attack, okay, this guy was stopped by an armed Israeli citizen. So, all these people, we need more gun-free zones. No, the reason why this guy only killed 4 is because somebody stopped him before he could get to 5. You know what I mean? Just saying. In Mexico, there was a State Department assassination attempt. I don't know if they got the guy yet or not, but again, watch for that stuff. And that in the Fort Lauderdale attack, something that there was one of the guys worked for the North Fork shipyard. So I'm curious about who. Usually in these attacks, you want to look at who got killed, that type of thing. So who knows? It's something to look at. Global debt is 325% of to GDP. There is no economic recovery. China's threatening war again, basically to retaliate against any aggressions or whatever. And China raised its interest rates to 80%. Russia did something like this a little while ago. They went to like 75% or whatever. And you know what? To loan out money has. That's the problem. We have a debt crisis, right? Because we loan out money. Banks loan out money at 0 and negative interest rates. You're not making money. What's the point of having banks if they're going to do that? I say privatize the banks, but don't give them bailouts. The Bank of Canada here should be restored. That's for sure, because this is what all these wars are really about. It's about the bankers. Oh yeah, so the troops went up from 1,000 to 1,200. They're going to be sending to Lithuania, Estonia, and Georgia, and I guess probably Poland as well. So that's for 2017. So build up and build up and build up. Turkey blaming U.S. for the cyber attacks. They've been under cyber attacks past little while. And of course they're blaming them for a whole bunch of things. And I think that's pretty much what I got here. So I know it's a bit more world newsy than just World War III newsy, but again, these things we have to watch to see how they're going to play out. But it's all relevant. It's the economy is the main reason why we go to war, and I still stick to my guns. No war until no economic collapse till war comes, because they need something to blame it on. Because they can only blame so much on Trump, because Trump is inheriting an economy from Obama that's $20 trillion in debt. Now, the thing is what some people are saying, that some of Trump's policies are a little bit over the top and that they could start a problem. But it depends, because I haven't really heard Trump talk about austerity, and this is a big one. If they start doing austerity, start by closing some of the U.S. bases, 700 U.S. bases, get out of the wars all over the place, get out of Syria, get out of Saudi Arabia, get out of wherever. They could save a lot of money that way. But the problem is you're going to put a lot of military people out of work, which, you could, bring them back to training and just hold off on recruitment for a little while, or slow down recruitment, which recruitment's at all-time lows in the States anyway. Well, maybe not all-time lows. Now, that said, yes, the United States has the smallest army it's had since 1945, but considering the size of the U.S. military, they can shrink down some and they're not going to be any less protected. What they'd be better off to do is have, update their equipment, take the time, get out of all these foreign wars and regime changes. It's regime changes in Libya and stuff like that. They should just get out of Libya, get out of there, get out of the eastern Ukraine, get out of there. Yes, the people that destabilize the Ukraine and stuff like that and doing all these regime changes, the Obama administration, yes, these people need to be held accountable for their action. Not, oops, my bad, like George Bush. Oh, there was no weapons of mass destruction. Oops, my bad. But we've got to bring them all down. Like, they have to go to jail. And the reason why they have to go to jail is because that restores rule of law. And it also signals to the world that we are willing to put there's no such thing as too big to jail, like Eric Holder said. Hence why, we'll start with him, you know what I mean? Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, I can imagine these people are very nervous right now if Trump is the real deal. But like most people that voted for Trump, they're all saying the same thing. It's like, it's just the last-ditch attempt before the Civil War kicks off. Because technically you could say the United States is at a civil war type of thing. You have, Meryl Streep out there, again, why not just go out and enjoy the night, but no, make it political, right, at the Gold Globes or whatever. Get on your soapbox during the day on Twitter and stuff like that. I mean, fine, do that. So, of course, Donald Trump fires back. She's overrated. Okay, well, you attack him, and then people, oh my God, look what he said about it, but she attacked him. You know what I mean? So he fires back. That's the way Trump rolls. If you attack him, he fires back. You attack, and that's the way you should stand your ground. People attack you, you attack them back. Verbally, of course. That type of thing. So, and you got guys like Michael Moore out there talking about how they're going to, on his inauguration, have rallies and a whole bunch of destabilizing protests. So we could see that the left is still, a lot of them are just brainwashed idiots and useful idiots. But it's the ones at the top in the parties that are really the dangerous ones. And those are the ones that are really, really nervous because they're like, if Trump is the real deal, we're going to be hanging from street lamps. And that's what they're really worried about. That's why they're still trying to steal the election from Trump, to stop the inauguration, saying that, no, he's an illegal president. Again, remember Obama with the birther thing? Oh, how can you say that? How can you say that? How can you say that? And it does come out that, he's an illegal president. So, yeah, who knows, right? But again, with Trump, the only thing you can do is judge him on his actions. Now, that said, he is a bit sporadic, but he is surrounding himself with extremely smart people, whether you like them or not. Again, he's only got a basket of deplorables and shadies to pick from. So, to run the system, what people are saying, especially with the Goldman Sachs crowd that they're getting, because, I mean, who trusts Goldman Sachs, right? This is Hillary Clinton's, one of the main supporters of Hillary Clinton. But there could have, again, the hellhounds could take many forms. Form number one is like a Donald Trump, truth bombs everywhere, fight the system that way. The second is that what they can do is like your WikiLeaks types. If you've got whistleblowers from the inside, remember, Obama is persecuted more whistleblowers than any president in history. That is what it is. So people can't come forward and tell you when the system is scamming you. Now, the thing that the mainstream media, I think this is the conclusion most people are drawing is, okay, you're talking about Russian hacking, and you're not showing any proof and say, oh my God, well, Donald Trump's not trusting the intelligence agency and that's a cause for concern. Meanwhile, the intelligence agency is like, okay, well, Donald Trump, show me the proof. Okay, well, we'll show it to you next Wednesday. How about next Friday? Okay, we're going to need a week or two. You know what I mean? Like, it's such bad optics and who trusts the CIA? This coming from the DHS, again, terrorist organization, they're treasonous. The NSA, terrorist organization, treasonous. They're terrorizing their own people by spying on them. They're jackboot thugs. The CIA is just a terrorist. You arm terrorists, you are a terrorist. That's what well, it's for our the ends justify the means, very Machiavellian. No, you arm terrorists, you are a terrorist. You arm drug cartels, you are part of the cartel. That's what the CIA does. So there's probably is good people in there, and I hope there's more good people than bad, but the people at the top are bad. They're rotten to the core. So all these FBI and CIA directors, they're probably shitting bricks right now because they're probably going to be held for treason. Depending on what the penalty is for treason, when Donald Trump decides to drop the charges, one of the first orders he could do is restore the death penalty. And remember that dream I talked about of the courtyard where, I'm watching people, the guy coming in and they hang him and he doesn't die, and I pull up my pistol and I shoot him, say, God have mercy on your soul, and then they bring in Hillary Clinton, she dies, snaps the rope, and I just let her die on the ground, and I reholster my pistol, and then I see George Soros. That dream might actually come true. I'm not saying I'll be the one there, but that's probably what we're becoming so radicalized no matter what, that's how banana republics end up, is that, okay, there's no rule of law, Duterte rules. Oh, speaking of Duterte, he's out there in Russia again, ready to do drills with Russia, visiting Russia. So they've lost the Philippines. I don't think even Trump will be able to sway the Philippines to come back to the U.S. They've lost the Philippines in that area at this moment. I would say it's official. They can't sway. And if they try regime change in there in the Philippines, I think it will backfire even more on the U.S. State Department than ever before. And they've only got like a week. Right now, you got to look at it this way. They've got a week or so, not even a little over a week, to get everything done that they want done. So Obama's trying to do executive orders. I mean, he's going to be wearing out pens. Some stuff Trump will not be able to easily undo. But the people, but he can just not enact it, right? So that type of thing. So they got to get all this done. They're trying to set themselves up so that they can't be prosecuted or whatever. But I don't think, again, it's only after he gets inaugurated where we can judge Trump. And that will tell us if we're going to war or not. So if we don't go to war the way the Obama's team wanted, do we go the other way? But I think the neocon agenda, I think, is dying, which is good, in that it probably won't succeed. I'm hoping that Trump is the real deal. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation. Channel links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next time, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself. Be true to others. Always do the right thing. And have yourselves a great day. Good day, and welcome. All right. Got a World War III update. Blustery 20, -20 out there. I think it was like -30 the last 2 nights. I'm hoping you guys are liking the new things that I'm doing with the channel. With the new kind of mystery stuff and all that. Take out my hat. All right. Yeah, so I hope you guys are liking that. But yeah, I still got the World War III stuff. I got quite a bit of paper here for you to go through. So, where am I going to start? Okay, well, I guess I'll just start on this page. Is that what Alex Jones does all the time? There's paper there. I don't have a desk. I don't have the budget he has. I don't have a desk. I just got a comfy chair and a hat. All right. So, is the world becoming safer or more dangerous? I don't know. Russia scaling down its operations in Syria. So far, the total of missions, or missions, 1,252 targets destroyed in ISIS targets destroyed. So I forget how many air sorties. It was like 400 or 500 air sorties, something like that. South Front had it all on there. But we saw this play a few times before, and every time we hear, "Oh, they're leaving Syria, they're leaving Syria," and then 2 weeks later, a whole new batch of airplanes come in, and they didn't leave. I think they just go on rotation. So it's like, okay, well, you can fly, we got 1,000 hours of flying time on the Su-24, Su-34. It's in need of some repairs. Send it back to Mother Russia. Give it a hook and a smile or whatever, and fix it up. Send in the next one. That's typical rotating military equipment. That's things wear out, some things break, and some things, like, there's regular routine maintenance, and then there's just downright, okay, it needs a repair. The tank's got a hole blown in the side of it. Okay, it still runs, but let's go. Okay, it's bringing the new one. That type of thing. So that's what I think we're seeing there. I think that like, this war is still going to go on for years. It's just the major battles, I think, are done. That they have Aleppo now. So I guess what we most likely see is, again, I've already covered it. And don't be afraid to look at some of my older World War III updates. But I saw, they're going to get, I think, 10 or 12,000 guys. They're retraining them, coming up with a new plan, and then they're going to do an offensive to clear the hilltops kind of thing on the outskirts of Idlib province. But they're not worried about them guys as much. They more wanted the cities back. And something I said, as Syria stabilizes, the surrounding nations such as Israel and Turkey and Saudi Arabia and stuff like that will destabilize. And well, the Israeli freakout is already seems to be pretty much full. But that could be another plan too, to get another way to go at Iran. So I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, right now, Obama's done something weird. He's pulled all the aircraft carriers. I've already covered this before, but all the aircraft carriers are bringing back to the United States. So for maintenance stuff, they're not on rotation. It's just he brought them all back, which is weird. So right now there are no aircraft carriers in the Middle East. I don't know if that's a first or if that's, but it's definitely not normal considering. Is that a bad thing to a degree? Yes, because if something breaks out, the guys that are over there don't have that resource there to protect them. It's the same thing when Justin Trudeau pulled out the CF-18s out of, backing our guys on the ground. The problem with that, I'm kind of if you're going to fight a war, you're all in or you're not. So either, if you're going to take the CF-18s away, completely take the operation away. I mean, don't have those guys sitting there with no air support. Like the best air support they can have is from their own nation. Personally, I don't think we should be in there because, like, the way I'm looking at it is, why should our guys get shot by people who are, like, our government who's helped arm them? You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. I don't know how much contribution Canada made to arming ISIS, but I'm probably sure we probably did somewhere. I know in Ukraine and stuff like that were there pretty openly arming the Ukrainians. Not so much lethal aid. I think most of the lethal aid just comes from the States and other nations because we don't really have a lot of weapons we could send them anyway. But there are some weapons, for example, that we have given to the Kurds, and I don't agree with that at all. Again, we're arming the people we have to fight in the future, and that's exactly what we're doing now. Again, if you're a U.S. soldier and you're in that area of the world and you have to fight these guys, they're going to be shooting at you with the ammo that was supplied by your government and the firearm that was supplied by your government. I mean, how long are you going to believe that, they just got these weapons by accident? No. In the tens of thousands? No. Again, ISIS is either the luckiest terrorist organization in history or they're back. And with the slips from Obama, the slips from John McCain, John Kerry, yeah, it's the State Department, yes, they know, what they do is they say we're arming moderate rebels, but we can't figure out who the rebels are. So they've armed ISIS. Whether it was negligence or on purpose, I do believe it was on purpose. Again, a guy flying a Globemaster, he's not going to be dropping in an accident. I mean, he's probably got 2,000 hours of flying time before he even trains on a Globemaster, those heavy lift aircraft. They're not going to make accidental drops. They're dropping where they're told to drop. So is the intelligence bad? Well, I don't think the intelligence is that bad. I think it's very deliberate. Same with the helicopters and stuff like that. At rooftop level, you're going to be able to make eye contact with the guys you're dropping your stuff to. Even if they're 500 feet up, you're going to know it's your guys. So these airdrops aren't accidental, that type of thing. So anyway, we've been over that quite a bit. The Fort Lauderdale shooting. A lot of people yelling false flag. There was reports of multiple shooters. This guy, I guess, is a Cuban national from the military, and apparently he's had some psychiatric problems. People saying Manchurian candidate, whatever. But whether it's real or not doesn't matter. What is the result? Well, we do know that just before Christmas, Christmas and New Year's Eve, again, Obama was out there putting executive orders and disgusting ones, and one of them is to really get the United Nations Small Arms Trade Treaty deal through. It probably will never pass, but again, trying to make a case for it, a last-ditch attempt. On this one, I'm inclined to believe that it is a false flag. I'm not saying they're all false flags and nobody dies. It's all crisis actors. I don't say that. I do believe people die. You never know. I mean, this guy was making some claims that the CIA was trying to get to him and stuff. Now, mind you, if the guy's a little bit unstable, it wouldn't take much for the CIA to push the guy over the top and hijack his computer and just show him propaganda and he hears voices or whatever. They do have the technology to freak people out that are already unstable. So is that a possibility? Well, of course. And giving the climate, again, can I prove any of it? No. But giving the climate and the desperation we see from Obama, Missy, what are you doing on the couch? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't pull your tail. Scratch your tail. See how you like it, eh? When the couch is scratched back. There you go. Hey, come up. If you're going to interrupt the video, you might as well come up and show everybody. Anyway, my cat, Missy. As I was saying, Obama, they're still trying to steal